Great respect for Coach McKeegan and the Campbell program. He's just a really, really good coaching staff and hell of a program. And obviously, Del Orso is a phenomenal player. You see, and he made it very difficult on us tonight. That being said, very glad to be able to, come out of here today with the win. Thought our guys really tried to execute on the defensive end, and that was where our focus was. So glad we were able to take advantage of that.
Coach, you said on Monday you didn't like the effort defensively, and then coming out the gate tonight, you guys had 10 steals in the first, 8 or 10 minutes. You were very aggressive. Campbell was out of sorts early. And then, so how do you think that effort translated from the practice this week?
Well, it was two things. Again, I've been asked this a few times. It wasn't the effort defensively on game Monday. What it was the discipline to trying to do everything in the first 5 to 6 seconds of the shot clock, 7 seconds. And then once we got beyond that, second side, third side, Ferrum did a good job moving the ball. They get into an isolation situation, and I wasn't happy with their isolation defense. We knew going into this game that the biggest challenge was going to be that this team will play into the 20s of the shot clock. So not only did we have to have the effort, the intensity early in the clock, we better be able to play that way all the way through the shot clock. And from that standpoint, very pleased with what we did. Again, I was asked this yesterday. We spent 2 days on defense, and that was more of a showing defensively at least of who we want to be. And we have a long, long way to go, but that defensively, style of play, effort, and more importantly, execution, that was more along the lines of what we want Pirate basketball to be about.
RJ Felton led the way tonight with 30 points. He also made plays on defense with 3 steals. Just your thoughts on his play tonight?
I think he scored 30 points and had a really good offensive game because he was thinking defense first and rebounding. And that's what I think all our guys were thinking going into this game. And I think offensively, it's why we were able to, we had some lulls, and the momentum changes like it does in all basketball games. And when we built the big lead, they got aggressive. They kind of abandoned what they were doing, and they went to just downhill driving, and they isolated Del Orso, and he was a very difficult matchup for us. But for the most part, all of our guys' mindsets were on defense and rebounding. They had no offensive rebounds in the first half. They had 2 for the game. We had 9 offensive rebounds in the first half. Not very pleased with the fact that we only had 3 in the second half. But overall, RJ's mentality was defense and rebounding going into this game. And I think when he does that and when players do that in general, I think it frees them up on offense pretty good.
Speaking of having that aggressiveness and mindset, how do you find that balance of not getting in foul trouble like you guys did tonight late? And how do you find that balance of being aggressive but not getting in foul trouble?
Yeah, it's a great question because that definitely was the Achilles heel tonight. We're normally the team that's on the free throw line quite a bit. We go from 39 free throws in game 1 to 11 free throws in game 2. But we definitely, that's what kept, in the first half, kept the game where it was. And then in the second half, when we did have that, I think at one point we were up 25, it allowed the lead to shrink, and then it starts to get, a little bit tight in there because of that. Just have to be smarter. Just have to understand, sometimes you can play in fifth gear at full speed, and sometimes you have to downshift just a little bit. You could still play equally as aggressive, but maybe you got to be a little smarter. And I thought we talked about as a team, playing with the lead, understanding what the other team is trying to do, understanding just the feel of the game. There was a lot of fouls, but, just that's what it was. They were on the free throw line. So we got to make that adjustment. And, that was, I know that was a Final Four crew out there tonight. That's a crew that those refs, you could see that ref, that 3 guys you could see on Monday night in the national championship game in April. It was that good of a crew. So we got to make the adjustment. We got to understand, hey, okay, you know what? We can't be putting our hands in a cookie jar late. We got to get to spots earlier. We were a little bit late on our rotations and their fouls, and we just got to be better.
How do you feel like the team responded in the second half when Ezra and Brandon kind of got into trouble there and you had to dig into your rotation?
Yeah, I'm looking up at 8 minutes and I look and we got 4 guys with 4 fouls, and we have some a little bit of unconventional guys in there, and the first time we put Val in there, they went right down and they scored a layup, but I thought they got it back pretty quick. And then the other thing about it was, not only did we have a little bit of a different lineup in because of the foul trouble, Campbell went zone. Campbell goes 2-3 zone. The one thing about playing Campbell, when you talk about preparing for the Princeton offense man-to-man, they also have 3 or 4 different defenses. And early in the year, that's not very common to play a team that can play with a 1-2-2 zone press, a 1-2-2 trapping press, a trap off the dribble press, back to man-to-man, back to a 3-2 zone, back to a 2-3 zone. I mean, the only thing they didn't throw out tonight was the 1-3-1, and we were ready for that, but they didn't use it. But that is a very unique thing. So I thought our guys, particularly a lineup that isn't on the court much together, did a good job, reacting and adjusting to that.
Bobby, in his first year with the Pirates, seems to be very comfortable with those guys. 7 assists, 8 points. I mean, did he kind of flood into that right away when he got here? Or is that starting to build now? Or
I think it started to happen right when he got here. Bobby's such a great person. He's a true leader. He's a point guard. I'm so proud of him and Caleb, the way they are, handling the point guard spot right now. But Jaden Walker ran the point tonight some. RJ Felton ran the point tonight some. But Bob then got injured after. He and Bob missed a lot of time, this summer and in the early preseason. So quite honest, Bob has probably practiced 12 to 13 times full practices since the summer, total. So he's not anywhere physically where he's going to be, and he's still continuing to connect. But he's such a connector of people in the way he is, his leadership as a point guard, that you could feel it tonight. You could feel the way the guys are pulling for him and the way he's always pulling for his guys.
What's it like knowing that for Brandon Johnson, he doesn't have a great first half, but then right out of halftime, he goes off for 8 points, ends with 13, to know that you have offensive weapons that can pick up his slack when he's not playing at his usual level? Yeah,
we feel like we do have weapons on this team. We have options, a lot of guys that can go score. I mean, and Ezra goes 5 for 6 tonight from the field. Quentin DeBunje comes in and gets huge offensive rebounds. I mean, those plays are so big for us. And Brandon he's a true leader of this team. He's a guy that he does it, whether he's doing it rebounding the ball, whether he's doing it with the way he's moving the basketball and allowing our offense to flow. And sometimes the ball just doesn't go through the basket. And so maybe it didn't go in. Campbell did a nice job in their one-on-one defense in the paint the few times Brandon got down there. And then Brandon gets loose in the second half and he gets going. And so I don't ever worry about Brandon Johnson if he has a half or a game at all, because he's so mature. He puts the time in this gym every day working that it's just a matter of time before he gets going. And teams are going to put a target on his back. How can you not? He can shoot, he can play inside, he can offensive rebound. So he's going to have to play through that stuff. And, he did it tonight.
How does facing a guard like Delorso help set you guys up to get ready for a challenge that guards like that can have in conference play?
He's as good as he's going to be right up there, as good as any player that we'll see this season. It doesn't matter in the American Conference and non-conference play. I mean, he is a heck of a player. Great respect for him. I had great respect for him last year. He had a good game against us last year. He's a freshman of the year in the league there. And, you look at the film, and our guys know it. Our guys respect him, and they know that he's a really good player and that he did what he did tonight and he kept them in the game.
All right, thanks, Coach.
Thank you, guys. Yep.
I just wanted to ask, I apologize if somebody has already asked you this, but on the shooter shirts it says GPM. What does that stand for, and where did that originate from? Game point mentality is what it stands for. Game point mentality around the world in basketball. I mean, you go to any park, you go to any gym on the weekend, you go anywhere, there's a different mentality when it's game point. And you see it from all the way from the little kids all the way to the professionals. And it's something that we have talked about for 2 years here, and we're nowhere near there yet, but we want to be a team in this program, just within ourselves, that our guys understand that every possession needs to be played with the game point mentality.